Hey everyone, welcome back. Bruce here with DIY Homestead Projects. Today I'm excited to bring to you a new machine by YesWelder. This is a 200 amp multi-process machine, and I think you're really going to be excited about it. I'm excited about it. It's a DC only machine, and it is also not capable of using a spool gun. If you're wanting to weld aluminum, this is probably not the machine that you'd be interested in. They have other machines that are more specific for welding aluminum, both in TIG and MIG configurations. It is MIG, we'll do flux core, lift TIG, stick welder, 30 amp plasma cutter on 110 volts, and 40 amp plasma cutter on 220 volts. I'll put everything below in the description area under a timestamp so you can go to each section of the video and look at more detail about whatever function it is you want to look at. And I'm going to show you how I'm going to set the machine up, and I'm not saying this is right or wrong. This is just how I'm going to set the machine up for the demonstrations, and then I'll give you a little quick demo of each of the functions. YesWelder's FIRSTESS MP200. This is a 200 amp multi-process machine. Just like any other multi-process machine on the market, it's not necessarily the best at any of the processes, but the beauty of this machine is you can have one machine that can do 5 different tasks in your shop. And this machine is targeted toward the hobbyist or home shop type person, which is exactly what I am. So it's like the perfect machine. If this machine was available when I was getting started with my hobby setup, I would have definitely taken a serious look at this machine. This is actually a beta machine that was sent to me to do a review and a test, and that's what I'm going to do in this video. I'm going to test out the different processes, and I'm also going to show you what it comes with and give you what information I know. If you have questions about this, shoot me a message in the comment section. I'll do my best to answer your questions. YesWelder has put this FIRSTESS MP200 machine out under a Kickstarter program. And for a limited time, they're going to have a super early bird price, less than $500 for a limited amount of machines. And I don't know what that limited number is. Once that portion of the program is complete, they should begin normal production and sales somewhere around September of 2021. I will put the purchase links in the description of this video for those who are interested, and I will update links and information in the description as I receive new information from YesWelder. The super early bird price is less than $500. So if you're interested after you watch this video, and I do my best to answer any questions you have, you think it might be something that you'd like to have in your shop for the introductory price, I would say jump on it. If you want to wait and get more information on the machine, I totally understand. That's totally going to be up to you. To have a MIG along with a plasma, I think it's just going to be a super popular machine for the hobbyist or home shop. Let's go over a few measurements. 25 pounds is what the machine weighs. The total height of the machine to the top of the handle looks to be about 16 inches. Length front to back, 18 inches. And the width, about 8.5 inches. It's a 200 amp machine. It is multi-voltage, so both 110 and 220. It has an attachment area for your air filter separator. This one has dual fans. Now the fans on this machine are constant, so if you have the machine turned on, the fans are on. They are not temperature sensitive. Mixed gas for MIG connects there. Right next to that is the cut gas, which in most people's situation is probably just going to be compressed air. Got your on-off switch. And then a tag on the back here. This tag gives you all the information that you need. You could pause the video on that if you want to spend some time studying it. My favorite feature is the display and the control panel. It only has 2 knobs and 1 button, but I really like the interface on this machine. I'm excited about that. I think it's very user-friendly, and I think it's pretty intuitive. On the bottom here, you've got a Euro plug for the MIG gun, DINS 25 socket for your ground clamp, and then you've got positive and negative. A connection here for the plasma torch, We open the side door. It's got mostly metal components on the feed mechanism. It looks like it can accept a 11-pound spool of wire, as well as probably the smaller spools. Let's go through all of the accessories that come with the YesWelder MP200, and there's a lot of them, so I'm going to go through them here pretty quick. 8 feet of airline hose for the plasma cutter, an air dryer / regulator, again for the plasma cutter. Got an accessory bag here with some hose clamps for hooking up the airline, a extra wheel for the MIG, some fittings for the air hose, some Teflon tape, and there's a couple of small black O-rings in this package, probably for the MIG gun, but I'm not positive on that. This is the gas hose for MIG, much stiffer gas hose than what I've seen on the other machines. 220-volt adapter. It's your electrode holder for the MMA function with the DINS plug. Ground clamp, again with the same DINS plug with the copper strap. Very stiff spring. Chipping hammer wire brush. No mask with this machine, or at least didn't come with my beta model here. I'm not sure if they'll include that or not. The MIG gun, and this one says it's a MIG 15AK ML150 with a European plug. Also 2 spare tips, a .030 and a .035. The TIG torch is a SR17V. This is not a flex head, but 17 size torch with a gas valve on it, with a gas fitting that will connect to your regulator or flow meter. Standard consumables for the number 17 torch. The plasma torch is a PT31, and here's a look at the connector that connects to the machine, as well as the electrical connector for the trigger. And it came with a nice little packet of spare consumables for the PT31 torch. So the first function we're going to look at is the lift TIG function of the YesWelder MP200. This is the negative, and that's where we'll put the torch. And that'll be our setup for lift TIG on the YesWelder MP200. We're going to go through the setup for lift TIG with the YesWelder FIRSTESS MP200 machine. So let's hit the home button here. This knob on the left is for settings. This knob on the right is for selection. Let's go to settings and see what we've got there. Push that right knob in once you get it on the setting you want. Let's go with inches since I'm in the US, and this is the select button. It says right here, so inches and select. Success, that's good. Let's hit the home button again. And we're going to be using lift TIG. And it says right here, lift TIG. Let's hit select. All right, I've got 1/8 inch mild steel coupon, so we'll use 110. Let's see, it's showing the ground clamp is positive and the electrode negative, and that's how we set it up. So torch negative, ground is positive at 110 amps. And it looks like that's all the adjustment functions that we have in the lift TIG mode. So that's what we'll go with. All right, we're all set up with the lift TIG on the YesWelder FIRSTESS MP200 multi-process machine. The amperage that we set it at is what it's going to be, because there is no amperage control once you start welding. As I touch the tungsten to the workpiece, lift it, and as soon as I lift it, the arc ignites and we start to weld away. Now, the only way you can control the heat input is the travel speed, so wish me luck. Let me show it to you. There's the first weld with the YesWelder FIRSTESS MP200 multi-process machine, lift TIG function. The next process we're going to have a look at will be the MIG functions of the YesWelder MP200. We'll get some wire loaded up here. This is .030 solid wire, and it goes in there pretty straightforward, pretty much just like any other multi-process or MIG machine. Just need to make sure that you have the correct wire feed wheel and it's oriented properly for the size wire that you're using. We'll get the European plug mounted onto the front and screwed in, and then the ground clamp plugs into the ground clamp socket. Now on the front panel, the lower left-hand knob, if you push that knob in when you're in the MIG settings, that will advance the wire for installing it into the MIG gun. Hooked up to a bottle of 75-25 mix, 25% CO2 and 75% argon. I'll run this at about 15 cubic feet per hour on the flow meter. We press select MIG, and then this is the screen for controlling all of the functions in the MIG. If you look at the upper left corner, and we go across there, you've got 6 settings that are adjustable. You access it by clicking this right button. Now it's hard to read on the screen in the video, but it's easy to read just looking at the machine. Click on that, and then it gives us 4 settings for gas. So we were going to use the 75-25, and then we'll hit select. The next one is for the wire. You press that, you've got steel and stainless, and they both have 030 or 035 wire settings, so we're going to use steel 030. The next one over is for 2T or 4T, and we want just use the trigger for on off on the torch, so we'll use 2T. The next one is for thickness, and it goes from 18 gauge to 10 gauge, and then 3/16 to 1/2 inch if you're on 220 volt power. I'm going to be using 1/8 inch steel coupons, which is about 11 gauge, so our closest setting here will be the 10 gauge setting. The controls on this are for synergic settings only. There is not a manual setting, other than right here you can change the voltage increase or decrease by 5 volts in the synergic setting. That's about the limit to the adjustment as far as the settings. You cannot change the wire feed speed on this machine manually. So the next setting is burn back. You can increase that. We'll leave it set at 0. And then the next section is for memory. You can store, I think, maybe 10 different memories in here. I need to have a look at a manual to find out exactly how to do that. So we'll just leave that alone as well. And then if you select the left-hand button, press that, then you can adjust the amperage. Now, the synergic settings for 10 gauge steel with 030 wire is giving me 100 amps and 20.8 inches per minute. You can change that to different amperages, and it automatically changes the inches per minute. So we'll just leave it where it's set from the factory, 100 amps and 20.8 inches per minute at 16.6 volts. I've just got an 1/8 inch coupon, and we'll just run a couple beads and have a look. But let me show this to you. These look maybe a little bit cold. To set up the MP200 for flux core operations, I've switched out the solid wire for some gasless flux core wire, .030 size, and I also switched out the drive roller wheel for the knurled version, also in the .030 size. This photo indicates the correct internal wire polarity positions for MIG, TIG, and stick welding. These wire positions must be swapped in order to weld with gasless flux core wire. Don't forget to switch them back to the previous position for MIG, TIG, and stick welding. In the menu to set up for Flux Core, we're going to go to the settings page. Just hit your home page. It'll bring you up to this page. Scroll over to the FCAW, which is for Gasless Flux Core. Press and we'll go across the top and set that up. It gives you 030 or 035. We want 030. We're going to stay in the 2T mode. Today I'm going to weld some 14 gauge material. Leave burn back on 0 and memory on 1. In this setting, the gun is negative and the ground is positive. Now the synergic settings are giving us 60 amps, 10.6 inches per minute on the wire feed speed, and 16.6 volts. And we'll just run it with those settings. I believe that the inches per minute display on this beta machine might be incorrect. I've contacted YesWelder on that subject, and YesWelder has responded by telling me that this will be corrected in the final production product. The next process to look at is the plasma cutter, probably the one that most of you are excited about. I know I am. It comes with everything you need with the exception of this piece right there. And that is the quick change fitting for the air supply line. I'm putting this together with some supplied Teflon tape, pretty self-explanatory. Got to bolt this air separator to the back of the machine once it's completely assembled. Cut the line to the proper length. I only needed not even a foot of it. And that's it. There's the fitting I had to supply so that my quick connect for my air hose would fit on there. Then we'll connect the plasma torch to the front of the machine and the electrical hookup for the trigger. We'll make sure that all of the consumables are in the plasma gun as they should be. You've got the electrode, the swirl ring, the contact tip, and then the ceramic cup, or I think it's ceramic. That's all there is to it. Ground cable connects on the far left socket. Okay, we're going to set up the YesWelder MP200 for plasma cutting. So we'll just go to the home screen. We'll just scroll until we see plasma cutting. Push that right button to select it. Push it again, and the upper left-hand corner, you have from 0 to 10 seconds to select from. We'll start with 5 seconds. And we'll do the same with the post flow. One's pre-flow and one's post-flow. The next selection is 2T or 4T. We just want the trigger on and off, so we'll select 2T. And then you've got 10 memory settings that you can put into the machine. We'll just leave it on 1. The left-hand knob controls the amperage, and under 220 volts we have 20 amps to 40 amps. We'll set it on 30 amps to start with. I just have this scrap piece laying around the shop that I use whenever I need to run a bead to test something, and I'm going to cut those two pieces right in half there. This is 14 gauge. Do a little practice run, and here we go. Nice clean start, and it blew through that like a hot knife through butter. A little bit of dross on the back side, but that's to be expected. I don't think it's too bad at all. Next, I figured I would try to cut right through that weld. That's pretty close to a 1/4 inch thick there. A little too fast once I hit the weld, I think. And it was. I had to come back and hit that section again. But it handled it with no problem. It's pretty close to a 1/4 inch thick at the thickest part, and it's about 6 or 7 millimeters. Now the final process we're going to look at on the YesWelder MP200 is going to be the MMA settings. From the home page, we're going to just select MMA with our right knob, press the select, and we've got 3 options on the upper left-hand corner of the screen. Pushing the right knob in will begin the selection. Push it in again, and you've got 2 options here, 60 series and 70 series rods. Now the 6013 rods I'm using for this demonstration can run on either DCEP or DCEN, so it won't matter for the demonstration purposes. But just for the sake of following the motions, we'll select the 60 series rods. And I'm using the 1/8 inch rods. You have 3 sizes to choose from. We'll use the 1/8 inch. And then as we press the left knob, then you can adjust the amperage. Now my 6013 rods, the box they came in, states that they can run between 80 and 120 amps. I'm going to set the machine at 90 amps, and we'll try it there. Well, there's a look at the 4 welding processes and cut functions of the YesWelder FIRSTESS MP200 multi-process welding machine. I think it's going to be a real popular machine for the home use, hobbyist, small shop type person that needs those processes and doesn't necessarily have the room to store 4 or 5 machines in their shop. The $499 early bird special price is a really good deal. You can get basically the same machine as the 205DS with an upgraded display. This machine will come with the lift TIG torch, and in addition to that, you're also getting a 40 amp plasma cutter. I think it's going to be real popular. I think a lot of people are going to enjoy it. I hope the videos helped you out, maybe answered some of your questions, given you some insight as to what the MP200 multi-process welder has to offer. If you got any value out of this video, you can really help me out by giving me a thumbs up. I would really appreciate that. Consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll see you on the next video.